My name is Megan. I'm a 19-year-old student at North Carolina State University. I've been in 4 car accidents over the course of 2.5 years. I feel very lucky to be able to share my story and raise awareness about motor vehicle accident trauma.
If we were perfect, we wouldn't have to worry about drinking and driving.
Most PSAs focus on driving distracted or under the influence, but collisions will still occur. What happens to the victims after the accident? %60 of people in an MVC, or motor vehicle collision, have significant injuries. The injuries received can affect the everyday life of the victim, potentially removing them from daily activities and social interaction. Psychological behaviors often go unnoticed as the physical injuries are much more apparent. One of the most common car accident injuries, which I have personally experienced, are concussions. People who have experienced traumatic brain injuries, otherwise known as TBI, are more likely than the average person to develop anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and depression-like symptoms. Changes in the brain as a result of injury and the emotional response associated with the recovery process contribute to the increased likelihood. What is post-traumatic stress disorder? PTSD develops in people who have experienced a dangerous or traumatic event. It can trigger distress and fear in people months and years after the incident. It is commonly associated with war trauma, but natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and criminal activity can cause the disorder to form. Sense of coherence measures external and internal stimuli and how the victim is able to react to address the problems. After concussion, or MVC, this references lack of consciousness and responding to the collision. A lower sense of coherence is linked to post-traumatic stress, depression, and a longer recovery time. In my most serious accident, I had a bruised lung, broken pelvis, and severe concussion, which kept me out of school for almost 3 months. I went in and out of consciousness for about 2 hours that day and still have no memory of the accident. Even with holes in my memory, I am still affected by that day and my 8-month recovery. After being discharged from the hospital, I was excited to have a break from school. I quickly realized that my extended absence was anything but enjoyable. I was soon diagnosed with post-concussion syndrome, a disorder that focuses on the persistence of common concussion symptoms like headaches and the inability to focus, but also focuses on the changes in emotions and personality weeks after the initial TBI. Severity of head trauma does not predispose someone to developing the syndrome, as it depends more on how one copes with the trauma and their prevailing health problems. This concept is difficult for a significant percentage of people after an MVC. I conducted a survey with 121 participants analyzing the trauma experienced after an MVC, where I discovered that 24.8% of participants had difficulty operating a vehicle post-accident and 5.8% still struggled to get behind the wheel of a car. 52.1% of the surveyed noticed behavioral or personality differences in themselves or someone else who had been in an MVC, where many elaborated to mention increased anxiety, sadness, and lack of motivation.